more about what we mean by fixed, flexible, mobile, and also, you might have people who were resistant, they just wanted to work the old way, but have they changed, and why and what have they gained?
Yeah. So what we have in West Dunbartonshire is Workplace of the Future. That's our branding for flexible, agile working. So what we were keen to do was to make sure everybody was using the same language and everybody had a good sound understanding of what that meant. So the first thing that we looked at was work styles, and work styles started to influence. We looked at how do you work. So you would be classed a fixed worker if you spent 80% of your time at a desk. So that would equate, and what we also did was tie that into the desk allocation. So if you were deemed a fixed worker, you would have one desk for every fixed worker that you had. That didn't mean to say you sat at the same fixed desk every day, but you would be allocated a desk for a fixed worker. Then you had flexible workers, and that was workers who spent 50% at a desk and 50% at meetings or out visiting users, service users or whatever. And we equated a desk allocation of one desk to every 2 flexible staff. And then we had a mobile work style, and that's where you are 80% out the office with 20% at a desk. So those who are out every day doing and delivering but still come in to write up or check or whatever, and there's still an element of some desk work there, would be deemed mobile, and the desk allocation would be 5 staff to 1 desk. So when we do the service assessments at the start with teams, we would ask them, what are these roles? Can you assign a work style to these roles? That would then allow us to add up how many desks you were going to get in a new environment. So initially, in the first move that we did, people were, say there's more fixed, because we're a bit anxious we're not going to ever have enough seats. So, and we did challenge back, so there were some roles you would be saying, well, talk to me about that role, tell me a wee bit about what that role is like, and you would say, well, I'm hearing that that's a bit more flexible than fixed. So there was an element of challenge, but there was a soft challenge at that point, of just trying to get that understanding of how we were differentiating between the roles. And we had a wee tool where you could almost say answer A, answer B, and it then said you are a fixed work style. So we kind of started and we kept using that language and we kept that familiar with staff. Now every new role as part of recruitment has a work style assigned to it. We now have it as part of our workforce management, and I can now run those reports. In the early days, I was sending spreadsheets to managers and asking them to update it to try and gather that information so that I could upload it into the council system. So that allowed us to see how many staff we would fit into the new spaces and how many teams we could fit in, and we allocated them those desks. So in the first one, we had 4 floors in this building, and 3 of the floors were great. We seemed to have the mix right. On 1 floor we didn't have, and we had 1 team who had told us that they had more fixed staff. So day 1 we turned up and this end of the room's empty because they're not fixed workers, and the other team said that they were working flexibly, but they had only got their laptops almost the day that we moved, so they had not started working flexibly. So we had 36 staff scrambling for 18 desks, looking longingly at the other end of the room where the empty desks were. So that in itself helped, because we were able then to say to staff, look, it will be clear if you don't get the role, work style right for the role. We will be able to visibly see whether your desk allocation is right, because it should be getting used properly. We shouldn't have big empty desks and teams, etc. So that in itself was quite a good tool for people to realise. Also by that time we were starting to gather that colleague feedback, and there's nothing more powerful than a colleague actually telling you that there's no a day I haven't had a desk, it's fine, it does seem to be working out, their calculation seems to be accurate, because I can tell them and other people can tell them, but actually when they hear it from a colleague, there's never been a day we've walked into the office and there hasn't been a desk, makes much of a difference. So we've been able to start bringing that. I felt exactly like you just before I was going to move, but let me tell you, it's fine, blah, 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 blah. By that point, we were getting better at challenging the work styles as well. So we have that fixed data. So the idea will be that I will be able to show the changing landscape, if you like, of West Dunbartonshire's workforce, from very fixed traditional roles to staff getting much more comfortable working in different ways, to monitor that increase, if you like, in percentages of staff home working, percentages of staff, and I think I mentioned it when I was showing you around here, we expected to move roughly about 500 staff in here. We have given out hundreds more codes because other people are using this space. So it's about starting to understand that and be able to demonstrate that shift of people being more comfortable working in different environments. From the original pilot on the 4th floor at Gershake, opted to test a pilot period, and we ran that in the initial period for 6 months. And the reason that we chose 6 months is behavioural change takes quite a while for people to change. We are creatures of habit. People come into their work and leave their work at the same time for reasons. They're dropping kids, their husbands or their partners are dropping them off, etc. They catch that bus. So actually, for people to really relax into a new system and start to benefit, you really need to give it quite a long time for people's behaviours to change. So initially we set it up for 6 months with this group of staff, and that meant that we removed core flexi times and you could work any time between 7 to 7. Now at this point you were still flexing in, but you were working within 7 to 7. Now we ran that pilot for that group of staff and we monitored them through that with surveys and focus groups and any issues. We had staff sessions before we started the pilot. We had manager sessions, we had a frequently asked questions area on the intranet. So staff were well supported and understood what we were trying to do when we first ran the pilot. So we ran the pilot and we got the data at the end of it and everybody loved it. Even some of these managers who'd been a wee bit more reticent at the start. Managers who, if you like, had actually relied on the flexi system managing the staff in some ways and had been a wee bit more reticent about moving away, had actually seen the flexibility that this had brought to their services. And it was an absolute win-win. Staff, managers and TU were involved in the focus groups and the discussions and were very, very supportive of the Flex pilot. So that went down really, really well during that, and we extended that pilot and we were going to look to move the pilot out. But of course, again, back to that economic factor of where can we make savings, and the flexi system, as in the physical flexi system of checking in and out, was a potential saving that we could remove. So you had that physical system plus that additional resource or admin resource of supporting such a system. And we moved very quickly to doing that. Even within my own senior management team within our own area, we quickly, my manager said, like, just come off it, guys, how are you feeling about it? And actually some of them were, and myself, you're thinking, oh God, that's quite uncomfortable, I'll not know how many hours I'm working. So it gave you an idea of how staff were going to feel when you removed that. So we looked to see where the break in the contract was, and the break in the contract was at the end of the year, the 31st of December. So we moved very quickly from the second half of November through to Christmas to run staff sessions about removing the flexi, giving them the details that we had gathered through the flexi pilot, talking to them about actually we weren't changing anything, their services were still the same services, they still needed delivered in the same way. What we were doing was removing any restrictions from them and allowing them to manage, they know their service best, and letting them have that ownership and empowerment to be able to organise their team and their resource to deliver the best service to their customer. And that just nuance of actually it's around working flexibly than working a flexi system. We work flexibly, that means you can leave during the course of a day to go and do an appointment and just work a bit later that night. You know, you can make arrangements for things coming up. Sitting alongside that, we reviewed a lot of the policies that we had. So we have bereavement policies, disability, special leave, carers leave. Everything is there to allow people to feel that they have that support and justification for all the reasons every single one of us need to be away from work. So almost set that as fine, here's the policies that allow you to have the time off when you need it. And we are giving you that empowered ownership of being able to work flexibly and trust you to work your contracted hours. So one of the benefits of working in a much more open, visible, open plan office with more collaboration is people start to see behaviours in other teams. So that's allowed staff themselves to start challenging some things. So maybe in the past we had roles where people think that they're absolutely fixed and these staff couldn't take advantage of home working or couldn't work at another location. The staff themselves are starting to ask what's the reason we can't do home working? So you're starting to get that challenge back from staff because they're seeing their colleagues working in different ways. So there's been a real benefit in terms of people seeing how others work and feeling comfortable to challenge. For me, that's one of these big wins, that people feel comfortable to challenge. The other benefits are that they're sitting beside staff. One of the issues is adjacencies. Who do you work with a lot? Let's sit you beside each other. And actually the benefits of that cross-team has been really, really useful. Oh, they're sitting right there, just ask them. So it's stopping emails, it's stopped, how could we do this better? Because I'm putting a face to the name that I used to send that email to. So a huge, you've seen the setup of the office, you can go and look over and see if the person you're wanting is sitting there. So there's been loads of benefits in terms of moving. Even just some of that small shifting of people thinking, this is ridiculous, you don't have a desk, I don't understand why you don't have a desk, to actually think you do have a desk, and it's not really that important that it's the same desk every day. Just even those small wins of people recognising that the anxiety they had of not having a desk and moving away from that work something you do, someplace you go type aspect starting to filter through. We will always, there'll be people we still have to convince, but every time we do and we make a change, it's real beneficial to the culture of the organisation. It builds on that trust, it allows people to challenge, so we've looked to try and build that with policies. So like the removing of the flexi, we trust you to come in and work your day. That's a trust thing. You're empowered to come in and work how's best for you, and as you know what your service needs, you know what that delivery is, and we trust you to be able to do that and work with your team to ensure you deliver that best service, and we're going to remove any of these constraints away from you. And we've worked hard to try and put policies and keep abreast of the policies to try and support that at the same time, and being quite clear that there is a big emphasis on that, empowering you and trust and you to deal with that and make the most of this new environment and these new opportunities that you have.